Oh, Esther. Oh, Esther, Esther. I don't know if I can do this anymore without you. Ah, so hard. That's so hard I don't understand. I, I think I miss you. I think I miss you. I've never felt this way about a person before. I never gave a second thought to your parents or your grandparents. They were always just the family. I was always with the Teagues, and I was always at Tom Salou. But Esther, you changed something in me, and I feel for you, and the fact that you're gone is more than I can handle. And your brother doesn't care. He doesn't follow the old ways. He's going to turn all of the work of your family's generations, all of that work into a what? A gambling hall? I can't stay, Esther. I can't stay anymore. I felt I could. I felt I could do it for you, but with you being gone and the pain that causes and what your brother's doing and the anger I feel, I have to go. But I care too much for you, Esther. I will stay this winter. One more winter. I won't make it easy on them. That's not our way. Unless somebody can show me the kindness that I am due and obey the old traditions, I'm going to have to take my birch bark shoe and go elsewhere. Somewhere where they still leave a bowl of porridge out for folk like me. But I promise you I'll stay this winter. He's here. He's here and he's angry. And he wants souls. So I'll help. I'll help one more season. After that, I'll be gone. But I'll never forget you, Esther. I don't think I'll be able to for the rest of my days. Oh, I miss you, Esther. Welcome back, everybody. Autumn has given way to winter, and our adventurers return home on the heels of their first successful mystery solved. But that high of that first success quickly evaporates as it becomes apparent that Vaesen mysteries don't happen on the regular. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into a month, and everybody settles back into a routine, a slightly new routine, but a routine nonetheless. Some of our investigators have day jobs that they return to, and some of our investigators stay at the castle. It's also very busy at the castle right now. The recent success of their successful mystery solving has brought in a payday from the Moorland Reclamation Society, as well as an infusion of cash from the various trusts that maintain the property. So our society has decided to spend a little of that money on some hired help and a new space that can help them with keeping their equipment in tip-top shape. So let's go to the castle first, and let's find out who is there at the castle and what it is that they are doing on the daily in and amongst all of the activity of the creation of a workshop, as well as our new hired help, a caretaker by the name of Hugo Dolt. So who's at the castle during this downtime and what are you doing?
So Tatiana has most generously been gifted seeds by Hugo and Algot to keep her out of the workshop. because it is very clear that Tatiana's decorating ideas are not going to be conducive to the usefulness of the workshop. And so she has spent the past month trying to plant sunflowers, birds of paradise, things that don't grow when it's, 3 degrees Celsius out, but
Birds of
she's bound
paradise
and determined
in the
to
harsh winter
of Sweden. Yeah.
of Sweden.
But there's a very clear patch of ground of several weeks worth of different landscaping attempts she has made. Um, Her gardening has also affected her wardrobe, so she's down to one dark dress, and she's repurposed her colorful dress pieces that aren't covered in mud as shawls and gifts for her teammates who may or may not appreciate having 17 handkerchiefs that are fuchsia and violet and puce green and things like that.
Trish usually wakes up before dawn and heads to town, and they'll perform for most of the morning, telling fairy tales and juggling and doing like acrobatic type stuff. And then they'll take their money and they'll store it in their little hat, and then they'll return to the castle probably around lunchtime and see Tatiana planning out this garden, and they'll just be like, "Oh, it's a little cold, don't you think? I mean, yeah, the bulbs for the tulips, they'll rise up first thing in the spring, but we're not going to be seeing anything until the sun comes out in a few
The sun
months."
the sun will come out. The sun always comes out. The
Yeah, of
sun
course
always
it
comes
will.
out at the worst possible time. And this time it's going to work in my favor. And she's just kind of she's
I'm just
been
like,
out there in the cold, so she's just shaking, huddled
yeah,
over,
I'm like
like
looking up at
angry.
the dark clouds, and I'm like, I think we got a few months. I'd say March. It's going to be a long winter. Late March, maybe.
It's definitely
Y-
gotten colder. There's not a lot of growing daylight out this far north.
Yeah. Tatiana is going to kind of be like, Trish, can you help me up? I can't unbend
Yeah,
my
yeah.
knees.
Okay, sweetie. Come on. I'm like helping you like you're an old grandma or something, even though you're like younger than me.
Also, this is like our daily routine. You go out
Yeah.
and practice, and then you're like, You've spent 6 hours. They're not
Let's
going to
go.
grow while you're
Let's get
watching them."
some lunch. Let's get some lunch so I can go back to work.
On a particular day, as we go through trying to make the castle grounds look spring-like during the winter, there's a knock at the door, and definitely with the folks who are coming and going, working on piecing the castle back together again, having a knock at the door is a bit of a rarity. Usually, people are on site and they just come in and they leave. Who is shadowing Alget Frisk as he makes his way to the door, muttering something
Oh,
about,
pushing
you know,
him out of the way. Getting to the door first, dropping whatever I was doing, jumping over the couch, maybe,
hmm
like
do
a very
you
excited dog.
open the door? Do you let Alget catch up? And
Oh no, of course I opened the door.
okay, cool. You open the door to a smartly dressed woman, probably in her early, maybe mid 30s. She is, of course, dressed for the weather. Um, again, middle class, maybe upper middle class, and she's got a fairly oversized hat, glasses, um, and she is, I think, caught off guard a little bit by this very rambunctious greetings, and she kind of takes a half step back and says, um, "Oh, hello. I believe I was expecting. I thought you all had a. I'm sorry. I thought you had a butler and stuff. I'm sorry. You caught me off guard. Is the person responsible for the castle available?"
Yeah, he's over there on the floor. What's your name?
She uh sort of looks maybe through the door
I'm
to see.
Trish. I
Hi.
grab her hand,
She,
shake
she
it.
Oh, I hi, Trish. Nice to meet you. I'm Margit. Margit.
Come
Call me.
in, it's so cold outside.
She tries to
Pull her
say.
into the
She tries to say
castle.
Königsmark. Königsmark as you kind of pull her inside, and she immediately. She's still very caught off guard, but starts to kind of collect herself and look around and say, "Well, it's very nice to meet you, Trish. I didn't know that there were other people here. It's a bit of a um yeah, it was just not what I was expecting." Um, and she kind of looks to the direction of the floor where you point. Is there anybody there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knocked him over. I don't know if he got up.
Oh, so this is Algid. Yeah, Algid has kind of picked himself back up, and he's doing the Picard maneuver,
Yeah.
and he sort of kind of a light exasperated sigh, and he walks up and he says, I'm Mr. Fisk. How may I help you, Miss Königsmark?" And she says, yes, Miss Königsmark. Um, I was just here to, uh, well, I'm with the, I've already forgotten the name of the publication. The Uppsala. I'm with the Uppsala Gazette. And she produces a card that has her name on it, and it's the Uppsala Gazette, and you recognize that as one of the local newspapers. And I'm here to just I, I'd love to say I'm here for an interview, but I'm really just here on background. Um, we just seem to have noted that there's been a fair amount of activity, and she kind of gestures at some of the bits and pieces that the workers have been stacking in areas that they've worked on the workshop. We were just curious: is there is there somebody who's moved in? What can we do to our records to accurately reflect uh, what's going on here? And
We live here now.
oh,
There's like four of us,
oh,
and the groundskeeper and the butler.
a
So I guess
groundskeeper
there's
and a
six of
butler.
us.
There's six of you. Do you mind if
Yeah.
I take some notes? And she opens up
Oh,
her.
there's more than six. There's like little sprites all over the place. There's somebody living in our chimney, I'm pretty sure.
Someone living in your chimney. Have
Hmm,
you
hmm.
thought about getting an exterminator, maybe?
Oh, no, no, no. It's good luck. He
Oh,
cleans it out sometimes.
and you can
And then
see
there's the one
her
who lives under the stove.
starting to write down Trish, is it?
Uh-huh.
And Mr. Frisk kind of sort of like starts to like take the conversation. Miss Koningsmark, yes, there are indeed individuals here, but uh, these individuals need to be conversed with first before we can discuss who they are and whatnot. There's obviously privacy concerns and such. If you're interested in a more formal interview or background information or whatever, you're more than welcome to uh, schedule a time. Maybe not when things are so busy right now. And uh, Margaret says, it's just background stuff. I'm already here. If it's okay, I mean, it just, you know, if somebody comes along and says, hey, go do a story, and someone says, well, we're going to go to the Uppsala Castle, we'd like to be able to at least tell them, well, you're going to find these people here, and this is kind of what they're doing right now. Are you running a business out of here, or are there people living here? Is this just a place where you're charging rent? And
Yes.
oh, uh,
Wait, I don't know about the rent part though. We're not getting charged rent, are we? Frisk?
and
I haven't paid any rent yet.
you're paying rent in a way. Uh, if it's all right, Miss Koenigsmark, I think it's appropriate to say, why don't you send a correspondence, and I'll arrange for a time to come down to your offices and answer your questions. And he starts to go to reopen the door again and kind of gesture her way out.
Tatiana comes dashing out. Wait, please. Could you drop this on the post on your way back to town?
Do you hand it to her? What is it?
Um, It is probably the 12th or 13th letter she has written to her mother, asking her to go visit their new friends, and telling her all about how they will have great food and a great menu for them to enjoy. And just, you really need to take the hospitality of, the great inventors out on the marshes.
And when she looks at the cover, like, what's listed? What is she gonna see? Like names or addresses or the like? What's she gonna see?
Oh, I get to pick her mother's name? I didn't expect this.
Tatiana's mom's name?
Yeah,
You know it.
okay. Uh,
Or
gosh.
maybe it's to a pseudonym. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pseudonym. That's why I'm um uh it's to Svetlana Samoyed.
And where is it taking off to?
It's going somewhere in downtown, probably Stockholm.
Okay, cool. So Miss Koningsmark takes the letter and she kind of tucks it. I'd love to do this. That's a lovely name. What's your name?
Tatiana Villiers. She'll offer her hand and a curtsy, and just like now that she's warmed up, she's put on one of her more nicer scarf collections, so it looks a little less ragged, but still clearly 4 dresses that have been stitched together to make a new one.
You can almost hear the eye roll from Algot Frisk as he is attempting to try to start to use his body to like suggest to Miss Koningsmark that it's time to leave. But she's very much interested in the conversation with Tatiana and Trish as she's writing down a few more notes. You can kind of see her eyes flitting about the main hall as she's writing, and she says, that's a remarkable outfit you're wearing. I don't think I've seen anything like that.
No, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to go into town and have something made, but you'll have to come back for the feasts the first week in December. You can meet Edvard and Ernst then.
Oh, Edward and Ernst, as she starts to write down more names. What kind of feast happens here in the week? You'll excuse me. It's quite remarkable. There hasn't been any significant social activity here at the castle. Are you is this an open invitation?
Are you not a Christian woman? Do you not celebrate the feasts of the saints for the first 6 days?
And she says, I not here, but if that's an open invitation, and really Alget is now Miss Koningsmark, if you please, and he's really like the arm is between him and you and Trish, and she
I
starts
mean,
to shuffle a little bit, realizing that she's starting to get blocked out.
we don't have a cook, so he's like, "Oh, I guess I'm gonna have to be putting together feast now."
Yeah,
One more thing.
like Tatiana is just mentioning like a holiday that she grew up with, and she's just like, "Oh, you'll have to come back when everybody's here." Not
Oh,
thinking
I
about,
I
yeah, you have to actually stock the kitchen to have
I
a
hope
feast for
I hope
six
I
days.
can. I hope I can. I hope that my Koningsmark, Margit Koningsmark at the Uppsala Gazette. I'd love an invitation as the door closes and you can see the back of Alget Frisk. His shoulders are actually quite tense and up. And as the door closes, they just kind of relax a little bit and you hear a little bit of an audible, sigh. And then he kind of turns around and he looks at both of you and he says, "The last thing we need is to attract undue attention. The people of this city aren't going to understand what it is that we're doing. And if the wrong people find out what it is that we're doing, they will come with pitchforks and torches and they will drag you off to the gallows or worse."
Oh my God, but we're still gonna have a feast, right? Tatiana, you wouldn't lie like that, right? We're still going to be having a feast or something, right? There's going to be lots of food for 6 days.
I will feed you as I have always fed you these last few weeks.
Can we get one of
You
those, what do
desire
they
a
call them?
feast? I
What do they
can
call them in the
arrange
new
it.
country? A turkey? Oh, I've always wanted to try one.
I
I
mean,
suspect turkeys have made their way here by 1870.
Yeah,
I'm
but I've
sure
never had one. That's like rich people food.
that might
I
that might
I
be rich people food.
I've agreed with the professor that I won't make any social engagements until I've gotten his and Edward's agreement. But she seemed like such a nice lady.
Yeah, I think she'd love some turkey and some
They
goose
they
and some chicken
always
and
do
some
seem
pork.
like nice people until it turns out that they're not nice people. Please be extra careful with strangers on giving out your real names. And he kind of walks off.
It's okay, I don't know my real name.
Tatia's gonna be like, as though these are our real names.
I know, right? Who even knows their name? Ridiculous.
Meanwhile, let's stay in town. Let's go check in on the good professor. What are you up to on these days when there is work to be done that doesn't involve hunting down Vaesen?
Well, my primary work has been to gather up and compile all of the observations, discussions, notes that I have from our adventure in Jutland. And I am working on a series of scholarly articles and essays about the myths and fables and folk tales of the Jutland Moors. My particular focus after our adventure is to take the work that Sandeman has done and turn it in a direction that's a little bit more favorable to the sprites, spirits, and such, a little bit more skeptical of human progress, a little bit more favorable for the wildlands. Uh, been delivering a series of lectures on the nature of the myling and the relationship to society, Jutland society. Uh, so I have pulled heavily from accounts and interviews and the like from the various individuals that we've met. It's all very scholarly, very dry, and yet I'm trying kind of everywhere I can to get my dig in against Sandeman, against the Moorland Society.
um, Ernst. All right, Ernst. Speaking of lectures, let's see if you notice something that's happening during these lectures. Would you do me a small favor and roll me a vigilance check, please?
I certainly can. This should be fun.
Hey, there's a success. Fantastic. Over the course of your lectures, there is something strange that you note. And over the course of, say, 2 or 3 lectures, as you do your mental head count of the number of people who are in the room versus the number of people who are supposed to be there, I suspect some of these people are taking these lectures for credit. Some are probably auditing. There were probably guests or administrators who are there. But there is one point, a person who you kind of see kind of off in the corner, who, as you meet your students and as you meet your guests and whatever, you can't put a name on this person. It's a woman. She's dressed much like a lot of the students who are in the space. She has fairly plain clothes. She's kind of bundled up against the cold, wears a head shawl kind of covering up most of her hair. She's wearing glasses, and there's a couple of times where you kind of spot that there's somebody there who you don't necessarily know, but by the time you get your way to where she was, she's already gone. And then the next time you're aware of her, she wasn't there when your lecture started, but she's there about like 10 minutes in. And um, by the time that you're done with the lecture and you look for her again, she's already gone. After a couple of times, would you know it's just strange, right? That this person who's there, but then isn't. You don't. She seems to be somebody who you get the sense. I mean, isn't supposed to be there, but she seems very much interested in what it is that you are lecturing about. After a couple of times, is there anything that you do differently before a lecture?
Oh, what would I do here? Hmm. Well, I'm after one of my lectures. I'm not going to do anything different beforehand, but uh, after I have my students and regular guests who I know fairly well, and uh, I'm going to be paying careful attention to who this mystery person is sitting near. And after the lecture, I'm going to make mention of I don't believe that I know that individual who was sitting near you. Do you know them?
And the person who you talk to kind of sort of like it just kind of instinctively looks over their shoulder and it's like, wait, who?
They left partway through the lecture, but they've
I think I might have seen someone there. I'm sorry, Dr.
oh
Magnuson. I don't seem to recall. I think someone was there, and he kind of like looks around to other people who are maybe still kind of talking in this circle that you're in, and they all kind of look just as befuddled, like, yeah, we think there was someone there, but I, did you see her? Him? Who was it? Who was it? And they're all kind of stuck in this loop of, I think I saw the person. Some are saying it's a gal, some are saying they're not sure. Um, they look a little confused as to who
yeah.
it is that you're talking about.
Uh, it was somewhat strange. I've noticed her in a few lectures, and I'll give a description. And uh, I'll take that group of students and ask them if they see this person to, perhaps invite them to stay. It's odd that they disappear so quickly.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do that for you, Professor. We'll keep an eye out for them. And they're like, okay, so somebody who's really bundled against the cold, wears a thing over here. Got it. We got it. We got it. Glasses. We got it. We'll get her. Nicely. We'll do it nicely. We'll get her.
Get her, but nicely. Excellent.
After um after that, there will be one more lecture where she doesn't show up, but your students will um kind of come to you at the end of the lecture, somewhat dejected, these same students who you talk to, and they'll come to you and they'll say, "Ah, sorry, Professor, we kind of blew it. We kind of tried to, you know, do what you say and try to get her to stick around and everything, but we probably we started talking to her before the lecture started, and then she just took off.
Hmm.
She didn't seem like, and they're like, she's exactly how you described her. So they're on the ball, that they feel pretty good that they
All right.
have parlayed this person, but they parlayed her
Most
before the lecture and she just bolted.
most peculiar behavior. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, she didn't say much. She was, you know, once it became apparent that we were talking to her and talking about your lectures and how you should stay after and say hi and everything. She just turned on her heel and left.
Most peculiar. Well, thank you. Thank you for the attempt.
Sorry. But we'll keep an eye out for her.
That's all I can ask.
For the remainder of the lectures and your time working, there are no more instances with this mystery person. So,
Okay.
yeah. Ernst, what does a semi-retired military officer do in the winter months?
Ernst is a
Edward?
professor.
Edvard.
Edvard.
Too many E names.
It is.
Yeah.
Too many names. Edvard.
This is together
true.
and
So Edward is retired to one of his family's estates. The Scuglins are a rather noble house, although Edward is not very well known amongst them. Bit of a black mark. Actually, it was a small manor by a forest, kind of close to where the society headquarters is. So, unfortunately, his military post, though, where he was teaching and helping with the garrison, was a little bit far. So, he would often go back home as much as he could. But uh, the woods were once used for logging and quite a successful logging industry, but for whatever reason, it seems to have not been used. The business has shut down, and the money and an investment seems to have gone elsewhere. If anyone travels to his estate, you'll not really find him anywhere on it particularly, even though there is like a small staff there. They'll just say it's like he must be out in the woods. They're his favorite place. Edward is also looking to like while he is trying to be semi-retired, he is also like, all right, I am tired of going so far for work since it looks like my new calling is this, and thanks to my new wealthy talent, I can narratively say that that is from successful investments in other burgeoning industries elsewhere. He's looking for more of a quieter post near the castle because he keeps getting letters from the butler saying it's like asking for some control over young Trish and Tatiana.
So I want to insert something here, Edward.
Go for it.
The reason they're trying to keep Tatiana out of the workshop is because she got the idea that she wanted a pistol, and she knows that you're going to make weapons in there. And so it's just like, please go outside and destroy the yard, and then you'll be too cold to do anything, and then you'll just sit in front of the fireplace for the rest of the day.
Tatiana cannot have a gun because if Tatiana gets a gun, this campaign is going to be much shorter.
So they fund her crazy garden habit to keep her out of the workshop.
No, that seems like a very fair exchange.
Yeah.
Like Alga continues to say, believe me, Miss Tatiana cannot craft a weapon like a pistol in this workshop. It's not a foundry, as he's putting things back and organizing the tools and stuff.
I know.
This is just a place where you tinker and build small things and repair things.
I think Edward might have gotten a letter from that, and it was just like, could just feel the exasperation. I'm just feeling like, what?
Just babysitting these freaking idiots.
Yeah.
Children.
Yeah. Absolutely.
adult-sized children.
Yeah.
I would imagine
Um,
being someone of somewhat well off, he would be able to meander his way to getting a posting closer by so that he can. And it's cool if the woods I would be living in or around would be
You get
nearby the place.
you get a letter from Trish talking about how you have to be here for the first 6 days of December because there's going to be a banquet, apparently, and there's going to be all kinds of food. There's going to be turkey.
there's gonna be
Gotta get
all
that
the
turkey.
foods, all the food,
All the foods.
And the Uppsala Gazette will be there as well.
and
It's
apparently
probably in
the
the letter.
Uppsala Gazette. Yes.
And if he hears that the news is getting involved, he's like, okay, I definitely need to get that posting. Like, do not talk to reporters.
And then, like, at the bottom of the letter is, P.S. Tatiana's gonna build a gun.
Stop.
Nice. Hey, Edvard.
Yeah.
Would you do me a small favor and roll an investigation check for me, please?
Sure.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, most of the days he is kind of mysteriously away from the manor. Even most nights, no one really knows where he goes. And he tends to get pretty scary if people try to pry too much into his goings about.
Mm-hmm.
But he always seems a bit happier when he returns from the forest. No one knows why.
So
Forest is a
It-
great place to be.
Yeah.
if Tatiana's hound tries to follow him, does Edvard let her or just kind of chase her off?
Wait, does the dog? Do you come out and visit Edvard at his estate?
Oh, never mind. Never mind. I misunderstood. I thought you were in the woods near. Never mind.
No, yeah, it's wherever he's stationed at, so that could be anywhere.
Yeah, the manor that I live at, it's like, so like imagine my manor, woods, and then over here is where you're at. So you'd have to like go all the way through the woods to get to grandmother's house.
Yeah, we do come visit though. If it's within, if you are within city, like the area that we are, if you are within like walking distance, we come visit you.
It's not walking distance, but you can definitely get Alget to fetch you down a
We
carriage,
just show up.
and you just
Show up
I also
unannounced.
feel like walking distance for Trish might be different than walking distance for other people.
probably.
Yeah, I try
Yeah,
to get
they
might
I
actually
try to get
go
the other two to
straight
come
through
with
the
me, and they're
forest,
like,
That's
no,
true.
no, we'll take the car. And I'll be like, whatever, it's just a hop,
Crap,
skip, and
that
jump.
actually might change some things, Curry.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay. Then Tatiana's hound is probably walking with Trij, since Tatiana is not really leaving the house at this point. She's just singular in her obsessions at the moment.
Yeah, Trish is probably not used to like, well, Trish has to work, so they work almost every day, but like, maybe they'll take like one day off and they'll go for a hike in the woods. They don't really like being cooped up in a house. They're not used to that. So, they'll go visit. They'll come visit. They'll hang out at your house because that's technically not staying at a house.
Oh,
It's not my house, so it's not
Sorry.
weird.
Yeah.
Quick question. My
Yeah.
character kept his binoculars, so would what you were asking for also be theoretically a vigilance test, or is it specifically investigation?
No, this is very much an investigation check.
Okay.
What I was looking for, you could not possibly ascertain with a pair of binoculars. In fact, that would probably have made it even harder.
Oh dang.
So
Now I am curious as if I should push that roll.
Well, I suppose you can.
Nah, I'm good.
All right. One day I'm going to Edvard's house. Alget says to Trij, "Oh, would you please make certain to bring Mr. Skoglin back with you? There's a letter here that's addressed to the society. I think everybody should
sure.
be here to
I'll let him know
read
we got
it."
something important.
And then Alget will also send there's always a 2 or 3 street urchins he's able to flag down to send a note to Professor Magnuson. And in some time, everybody makes their way back to the castle where Algot has a letter in his hand. He says, this arrived in the post. It's addressed to the society, and it's a interesting letter. It merely says, it merely is addressed from, of all places, St. Petersburg. And he kind of holds the letter out.
Ernst will reach out and take it and, like, kind of disbelieving, check the return address. Go, surely there's something else, some other information.
Mm-hmm. So this first link in the no. Well, that's interesting. Come on, why aren't you working? Well, let's see if you can actually read the letter.
Where will the link? You mean in the game? Because I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time putting it in the chat box. In fact, it's not letting me put it in the. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
There we are.
There it is.
And if you can't read the letter, there's the page.
Oh God, it's so tiny.
I know. You should be able to zoom in on it, though.
My eyes.
You should be able to mouse wheel and zoom in on it. So, Ernst, this is the letter that you've received.
We have a letter from Konstantin Konstantinovich, Count of Jamberg in Ingria, west of St. Petersburg in the Russian Empire. We have an invitation to Conclavum Sub Rosa, meeting bringing together individuals of different backgrounds with a shared interest in the supernatural, and ties to alchemy.
St. Petersburg, you say?
Yes. Is this going to be a problem for you?
I'm not sure. My mother hasn't written me back in a while, so hopefully not. Hopefully it won't be a problem. I'm a completely different shape than I was the last time I was there. There's no way anyone would know.
Well, if discretion or disguise is required, we can surely arrange something. If there are any areas that we need to avoid, people or situations, I feel that having things out in the open between us helps us do what we can to protect each other. Yes, that would be for the best.
Well, Konstantin Konstantinovich, that lovely lady from the Gazette talking about real names. That is not a real name. So I'm just concerned. I was very little when I was there, so I don't know if the Sub Rosa is the place I am thinking of, or if it was something completely unrelated. We left Russia when I was very young.
For the benefit of our audience, maybe someone should read the letter.
Yes.
Technically,
okay.
Ernst is the only one looking at it right now, I think.
So I suppose I can do that. To whom it may concern, my name is Konstantin Konstantinovich, Count of Jamberg in Ingria, west of St. Petersburg in the Russian Empire. Your society's reputation is known far and wide among those who seek to observe the unseen and understand the inexplicable. I have the utmost respect for your work, and like you, I seek answers to the mysteries of the cosmos. At the Midwinter Blot, I am hosting a gathering which I believe would be of interest to you. Conclavum Sub Rosa. The meeting brings together individuals of different backgrounds with a shared interest in the supernatural, who seek a deeper understanding through the process of alchemy. It would be a great honor and pleasure to have the Society grace our gathering with its presence. I shall wait for you at my residence outside Jamberg on the 20th of December to discuss the secrets and mysteries of life. Yours sincerely, Count Konstantin Konstantinovich. P.S. All things are connected.
Also, the 20th of December is very close to one of the most magical days of the year. Sub Rosa sounds like a gathering of magicians.
Wasn't the winter solstice like the 20th?
The 21st, yes.
21st.
So,
No, I believe that the date is no coincidence. Many mystical societies such as this set their gatherings based on the turning of the seasons, the position of the sun, the waxing and waning of the moon. This makes sense, and I have heard whisperings of such a conclave. It is odd that my work now puts me in contact with groups, people, organizations that I had previously heard only scattered whisperings of.
it would be nice to have new dresses made.
You've received this letter pretty close to the beginning of, it's probably December 1st or December 2nd, so you have some time. You know that it'll take a several-day steamship to travel from Stockholm to St. Petersburg, so you definitely have maybe a couple weeks time to think about things that you want to do to prepare if you plan on going.
I believe we must go to this. An opportunity to connect with other people who share a similar interest in research. I'm not so naive to believe that these are all going to be potential allies, but it would behoove us as we gain some more reputation and notoriety to know the lay of the land.
The lay of the land in Russia is covered in blood. I would just remind you of that.
Yes. Well aware. Do we have any more information on this group or these individuals?
That is a great question. If someone wanted to spend some time either in your own library or at the Uppsala University, there's probably an opportunity to garner some information there. If that's something that somebody wants to do for their preparation time.
I will be availing myself of the university's resources.
Excellent.
Yeah. I feel like getting knowledge on who these people are first should lead us to if we want to go, as well as what we should be expecting.
Okay. And then let's see here. We have other. Yeah, go ahead, Tatiana.
Tatiana is also, now that there is a focus for her beyond the workshop that she can't have and the garden that won't grow, she's now practicing automatic writing, using kind of using the fire as a focal point to enter a trance, and trying to see what she can learn about the situation through her intuition and her connection with the I don't know, her connection with the universe. She doesn't want to think about the past, but she's nervous about going back, and so she's trying to gather whatever the universe will tell her. Seeing if there are any more green eyes coming for them.
All right. And then let's see here. So Edward and Trish, what are your preparations looking like?
I wanna talk to the lady, Consumark, the lady who came visit us earlier from the cassette.
Oh, okay.
I want to see if she knows anything about what's going on in St. Petersburg. If there's any rumors. She seems like a down to earth
Got it.
sort
Excellent.
journalist type.
Okay. And then Edward?
Do you make that known to everyone that you are going to go see her?
Yeah, you know what? I will. I'll be like, oh, hey, we should talk to that nice lady that came to visit us earlier. She might know something.
I
Wait,
believe
who?
talking to a member of the press right now would not be in our best interest. Discretion is going to be of the utmost importance.
But she might know some rumors. I mean, she doesn't need to
Yes,
know why I
and
want to know.
we might become the subject of further rumors. Please don't give Algot a heart attack.
I don't know. I think he's due for some excitement. All right. I won't.
Rats. So then, having been talked down from going and visiting the Uppsala Gazette, then Trish, what will you do to prepare as?
When I am in town performing, I will ask for rumors about this society.
Got it.
Just rumors, you know.
Sure.
You guys heard anything about what's going on in St. Petersburg with these folks?
Absolutely.
Ever heard of a Constantine Tina? They're gonna be like, that name sounds made up. I'm gonna be like, I know, right?
And then Edward.
I will. So is this where we're going to be like, this isn't the purchasing phase, right?
No, this is
Okay.
definitely.
This is the role play to get advantage on something.
Mm-hmm.
Could we use our workshop for anything, any kind of preparation?
The workshop
Sure.
gives you an advantage for either well-maintained tools or well-maintained weapons.
Yeah, and that's all we got was we got something else besides the workshop, right?
You
Okay.
have
The caretaker.
The
the
caretaker.
caretaker. But you have the
Okay.
library, and the
We do have a
library can
library.
help you with gaining clues.
Knowing that now we are going into kind of more an urban environment, and that we don't know exactly what we're going into with, and that these might be some questionable individuals. Edward is going to go down to the shooting range with the military base and participate in some target shooting.
Okay, cool. So now I kind of know what's all going on. Yeah, let's go ahead and roll our resources and see how much capital we have.
All right, what do I do? I don't remember how to do this.
Yeah, does it
On your-
automatically do that if I just drag from my resources, or do
it
I
should.
have to?
It should.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Uh-oh.
Because there are bonuses and things
Yeah.
at different wealth
There are
levels.
bonuses and such.
It doesn't
yes.
calculate the bonuses.
Okay,
So you'll just go ahead and left click over the die 6, and then just hit the right click on your mouse to increase the number of dice that you would roll, and we'll count your number of 6s.
Seriously, with all that, still only one. Oh well, I have 5 capital starting out, so that's 6.
Okay, so I've got a bonus of 1. So let's see. There we go.
Yeah, look at that.
All right, so that gives me 3 capital to add to things.
How do I? Where's my capital supposed to be on my character sheet exactly?
Go to the inventory tab, and there will be a spot for resources.
And
Oh,
how do you determine the bonuses?
dang.
What's your resources score?
2?
Okay,
1.
so you have no bonus.
Got
And
it.
Oh.
1, you've got a -1.
So you
Cool.
take away a dice.
So it went from 1 die to 0 die?
No, you get to roll that one. I'll let you roll that one.
Okay, I'll get 1. Yeah! Good thing we've got our rich military
Yep.
uncle.
Yep.
There's a reason why I wanted to spec into more money. Just like, oh, I just get 2 more resources just out of the blue.
Who needs money when you have a rich uncle who lives in a mansion, okay?
So while you're thinking about potential purchases, and I know that Edward, you've got a lot of that equipment on lockdown, so I suppose you'll probably thumb through it. I'll start with Professor Magnuson here. You're going through records both at the castle, but also at the university. You're looking for information on one Konstantin Konstanovich, Count of Jomburg. Yes,
Yes, that is what I am doing.
fantastic. So let's go ahead and let's see here. I think this is either, investigation or learning. Either one is fine.
All right, I think I'm going to go with learning because that is my stronger suit, and I can use my book collection for that.
Hey,
So let's do that. And
3 successes.
3.
Wow,
Nice.
that's a thing right there. Holy cow! All right, so your knowledge on this individual is as follows. Um, Count Konstantin Konstanovich is well known in social circles. Well known in social circles as being quite the storyteller. Uh, he is a Russian noble, independently wealthy, living just southwest of St. Petersburg. He holds parties and he holds events where he celebrates all things supernatural, but not in a way that attracts the attention. There's never the sense of like, this is a real thing. Out in public, he's quite flamboyant and he's a big hit with the kids. Tells imaginative fairy tales, recites poems about supernatural um, entities. But curiously, it seems that, and that's what's known like publicly, that's what you find at the university. But in your own records, his name is mentioned when you get the books on the proper region. His name is mentioned a couple times in regards to legitimate studies of the supernatural. He does not have an affiliation with the society. His affiliation is this conclavum sobrosa. But not a lot is known about it. It would seem that the time that the society has been, it would seem that the time that the society has been like on hiatus is overlapping with a lot of these times that the good count has hosted these meetings of the conclavum. And that's what you find on this individual.
Okay. Most helpful.
Let's see here. Moving around to Tatiana. So, what does it look like as we're working on the automatic writing? Yes. What are we?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing on that?
So Tatiana is kind of entering a trance state. So she'll start out by probably staring at the fire for 10 minutes until her mind goes into the correct space. And then she'll kind of close her eyes and walk over to a book on the shelf in the library. And then, still eyes closed, open it, flip to a random page, look down at the page, absorb. So, whether she's reading or just staring at the page depends on how she rolls, I guess. And then she will try to take what she's picking up from the page in this intuitive state and see what she can learn. She's desperately trying not to think about her past in Russia. And I would say she's struggling and probably doesn't manage it. So what's going to come out of her is probably going to be mixed.
All right. So, what do we think we're going to roll on that then? Are we doing a roll, or are we just going to let me take us on a trip?
Take me on a trip. That sounds better than trying to figure out what that would be.
The book that you take off the shelf is a book of it's a book of songs. It's recorded songs from various different communities along the Baltic Sea, and the particular song that you open up the page to. When do you look at that page? Because you take the book blindly, you open up the book blindly. When do you actually look at it?
Probably in about the middle of her ritual.
Mm-hmm.
So she's
So you
taking,
lay the
yeah.
book down, you have your paper, you have your pen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you instinctively know that it is a song, even though you haven't looked at the page yet.
Okay.
There's a rhythm and a melody that begins to take shape in your mind. And I am not a singer, so I'm not going to try.
Okay.
But the song and the melody are one of a boy who leaves home, and this has broken his parents' heart. And the boy has left for the city to strike out on his own, to be a man, to be self-sufficient, to be modern. And the parents weep. And they make a plea. They make a plea to the kindly spirits who have looked over their home. And you open your eyes and see the words. The words refer to the kindly Tomta, which you know is another name for what you are more familiar with, which are gnomes. And the song picks up with the youngest Tomta going off to the city to find this young boy, but this young boy has fallen into a bad sort. He has found himself in an underground prison. He is a guard. And this underground prison is one that is run by people who know of Vaesen. They have trapped belligerent Vaesen, trolls and the like, and he is a guard. When the Tomta finds him, he's been seriously injured in a mishap, and he's lost the fingers of one of his hands, and he can no longer work in this underground prison. The tone of the song continues to become more sad as the young boy is now eating his last scraps of food from his last, from the last bits of money that he has, when the young Tomta, feeling depressed, goes home and says to the eldest Tomta, I can't bring him back. And the eldest Tomta is very grouchy and says, you foolish little one. And he goes and he finds the boy in the barn, and he gives the boy a scarf that his mother had knitted. And the boy, who is so tired and so cold and so hungry, says, oh, Mom, you've come to take me home. And this eldest Tomta brings him home, and the tune and the tone of the song in your mind begins to uplift as he goes home and realizes that he's home, but he doesn't have a hand to wield an axe or to wield a pitchfork. He's useless. The oldest Tomta says, take the axe. I have no fingers. Take it anyway. And he reaches down, and as he touches the handle of the axe with his palm, barely visible fingers spring forward, and the tone and the tune picks up in your mind, and it becomes much more hopeful and positive. And his hand wraps around his axe, and his other hand wraps around the axe, and he begins to clear a fallen tree on his parents' farm. With every swing of the axe, the whole tree cuts in half, and he hits the half the log again, and then the whole thing quarters. And in minutes, he's cleared this fallen tree. He's cut it into firewood. And he goes to another tree that his dad had always wanted to cut down, but was too old. And he chops that down in 2 swings, and 2 more swings, and the stump is cleared, and 4 more swings, and this mighty tree has been halved and quartered. And this noise has drawn his parents out of the home, and they see their son back clearing this lumber, and they weep, and they come up and they hold him. And in that moment, the son forgets why he ever wanted to leave. And that night, he leaves a little bowl of porridge with a small circle of honey on it by the hearth. And in the morning, of course, it'll be empty. Tatiana, your drawing is very different, though. Your drawing is, you're sure it's the same hearth from this song and this story, but this hearth that you've drawn is cold and empty. It gives no warmth and no comfort. Okay, moving on to Trish. Your performances, you're interested in Count Konstantin Konstantinovich in your performances?
Well, so what I'm doing is I'm performing, but while in town, also, if there are any adults or any, like grown-ups, passerbys, I'm gonna be like, so have you heard about anyone named Count Constantine? Have you heard about that person? Oh, in old St. Petersburg these days? I'll be like juggling and like just casual conversation,
Yeah, let's let the dice figure this out. I
Okay.
wish there was a luck stat in this game.
That'd be
Let's
nice.
Yeah, I know. Let's just
And a
do
D12
a
to it.
yeah, right. Um, let's do a vigilance. I feel like this is a reading the room. This is a this is an observation. Let's do a reading of the room. I think this is the best one.
Observation.
Is that going to help you with does your crystal ball help with that?
Oh God, I always forget about that dang thing. Okay, inventory, crystal ball. What's this thing do? Can I click it? Add +1 to observation. It sure does. Okay, cool. All right. So what was my observation? Come back here. Why did I have 4?
Wow.
Wait, I don't think that's right. Why would I have 4? Because it is logic. Okay, that makes sense. Or yeah. No, it's empathy, which I have 4 in. Okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Excellent. Couple of days into your investigations, a fairly well-to-do individual who's watching a performance, and then you say, "Hey, you know, an extra special trick for anybody who knows anything about a one Count Konstanovich." And there's a very upper class gentleman who kind of perks up at the name, and he
Love it.
says, strange that you mentioned that. I definitely have heard of that name. This is a strange individual. He was he actually in Stockholm recently. There was an article in the paper down in Stockholm about his arrival. He was quite an interesting chap, from what I understand. Caused a bit of a ruckus with the locals. Something about advancing ideas that were unfit for society or something. I think he had to leave or something, but if I remember the article right, he was there as a part of a group of people who were. Uh, he was talking with some famous celebrities down in Stockholm. I want to say that the real scandal was that there were members of the military who were with him, or was it military family members? Well, that's weird, but it's just a weird. The only that's such a strange name, isn't it? Konstantinovich or whatever, very Russian, I think.
Right? Sounds
Yeah,
totally made up.
that's I know, right?
Count Constantine CCC? Come on
Yeah,
now.
that's strange.
That's
That's
fishy.
strange. It was, and I think that's why the local authorities kind of, I mean, they ran him out of town. If you kind of, which I think the local authorities were worried it was going to create some kind of international stir, because I guess he's got some pull with the Romanovs, in Russia and stuff, and all that sort of. That's just strange. It was a strange occurrence.
But you said some military family, were they with him or were they the ones trying to run him out?
Oh no, I think that they were a part of there was some kind of meeting or something, or some type of, I don't know, the newspaper used like council or something. It was strange.
Mm.
And so yeah, I think there was some kind of military scandal, or like military officers or family members of the military were there, and that really got a lot of people's attention. Yeah. Yeah, so
Interesting.
he kind of had to leave pretty quickly, if I remember the article right. It's just weird. It's just strange.
What a wily character.
Yeah, that's what the article made it sound like. That's for sure.
What you said this is an article. What was the publication?
That was a Stockholm Daily.
Huh. You think I could get that at the library?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's back copies.
Sure.
You'll find
Oh
that
man,
you'll find when you go and grab the article that we're talking that this was near the beginning of November, that he had a small entourage with him. that they were, special dignitaries invited by society members of Stockholm, but that there were just strange things happening at the hotel where he was staying, and it had drawn some attention. And there were some concerned citizens who may have done some snooping around and discovered that what the police describe as a macabre scene of
Is this like
candles and
Rasputin type energy?
it's got a lot of like sure-ish, but more like when what you're reading, it feels like seances, and it feels like spiritualists
I mean,
and
that's
things like
very
that.
Rasputin.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's,
So
I think about 20 years early,
mhm.
30 years early.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the 70s.
Yeah.
So maybe more like 40, 50.
No,
40.
it's about 40 years, yeah.
Yeah, 40 years early.
But
That's interesting. Okay.
definitely spiritualism and stuff. And in a city that's as very rigid as Stockholm is during this time period, it's a real problem. But the article suggests that the concerns of an international issue between Sweden and the Kingdom of Russia, they let him go. They just kind of said, "Hey, look, get out of town," and Count Constantine.
We don't like your kind around these parts.
Yeah. Just seems that he might have made a bit too much of a show. But this kind of meshes with what Ernst has discovered. He's very flamboyant. It's hard to miss this guy.
Yeah, I don't know how this works. Am I able to take a copy of this article back with me to the mansion, or is it the type of thing that would have to stay?
I suppose if you wanted
they don't have coffee machines.
It's the 1800s.
I mean.
But if you wanted to make a stealth check to quietly just kind of tear one article out of 15 pages of newsprint and take it with you, you're more than welcome to roll that stealth roll. Oh, poor Ernst. Poor Ernst.
Or you can write it down
somewhere.
You think I know how to write? I never went to school.
I never learned how to read.
I never went to school.
So then how do you know what's going on the article?
I'll do the stealth. I mean, I got nothing to lose. It's not a real newspaper.
Jeez.
Wow.
Amazing.
I'm glad none of us are actually.
Did it not work?
I don't see a stealth. Oh, is that your stealth roll? Woo!
Guess so.
And Nary, no one is more aware, as you have successfully. Exactly. You are now in the ownership of an article on the Count's scandalous affair. Not affair, but scandalous scandal in Stockholm just a few weeks earlier.
I mean, what I'm drawing from this is he draws attention wherever he goes. And if we're trying to not draw attention to ourselves, do we really want to go this way?
That's a good question.
I'll ask my teammates. Either way, I'm sure it's a good time.
Okay, Trish, you're out and about. Do you go to the Uppsala Gazette?
No. Oh, me? No. Well, nope. How about I roll for it?
Hey.
Roll for stupidity. What would that be? Like logic?
That's a great. This actually really is a good just base attribute.
Yeah. Am I feeling like
do you
in the moment? Passion.
Right. So if it's a moment of passion, impulsivity, it'd be empathy. Yeah.
Yeah. Empathy. Okay.
So do you need a success to overcome it, or do you need a success to convince yourself to go? That's the question.
I would say success to go.
Yeah, okay.
Which I failed, so.
Okay.
Wait, no, success. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think if you did logic, I think it would be a success to not go.
To not go, which I failed miserably. So, guess I'm going.
That's empathy.
No, but it's empathy.
Oh,
so
empathy. Okay, then yeah, I don't go then.
Okay. All right. Edvard, you have spent some time at the shooting range, fine tuning your weapon and taking obviously some energy and aggression out on the targets. And I don't think there needs to be a roll. I just think that you are going to have an advantage on your ranged combat one time in this mystery.
Sounds good. Yeah. And if there was anyone of military background, any officers, and be like, hey, have you heard anything from Russia specific? Like maybe mention a weird person, Kitty.
uh, in your time there, there's he's more of a social figure than a military figure. The counts that you and your friends would know would probably be more folks who had military, connections than not. So
Right.
I don't think so. I think that that's probably
Cool.
something that is probably is difficult for you to ascertain.
Cool. So that's
Right?
+2 to shooting.
One time. All right. So as this is happening, as you're doing your preparations, what sort of things are you asking Alget to go and acquire for you? What kind of equipment do you think you want to take with you as you are descending into the winter, going to uh, northwestern Russia?
Svetlana is changing her tune with Algot and like cleaning up after herself at breakfast, like keeping the mud off her dresses. Because she's not getting money from her mom. She's not getting her monthly allowance for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And she needs to have these dresses made.
Mm-hmm.
So she's making all of these promises. So if I never sneak into the workshop, would that get me one bolt of fabric or two? And then if I
And
promise to never hold a handgun or gunpowder, and she's basically bribing him with her good behavior because he's had like 2 months of her at this point just being at her most manic and out of control.
mm-hmm.
So
and
she's
and I
trying to get a new wardrobe and some accessories for the upcoming trip.
got it. Let's see here. What does that look like? I don't necessarily know if we have
Manipulation?
anything. Oh, this is no. He's not going to fight you on this. He's definitely going to make a deal with you to stay out of some areas. This is fine. I'm just looking in our equipment to try to see if there's anything that feels like it's in the thing that we're looking for here. Oh, wait. No. No. So we're talking about hmm. A disguise is or a disguise elegant. A disguise. So I think that we're talking about replacing a certain number of dresses, right?
Yeah.
I'm good with that being like worth one worth one uh resource.
Uh,
Is the group okay with, because I was trying to use this as like a social resource instead, but
right. I know we'll probably need winter clothing, although I'm not seeing anything in here for winter clothing. There are disguises if we want to disguise ourselves, either normal or elegant.
I think it would be worth one of our resources to have Tatiana blend in with high society.
Lose lose the country shawls.
Kind of thinking about like I know that this isn't the strongest economy the way that they have the equipment set up, but I'm thinking that one capital is enough to get Tatiana some replacement clothing. I think one capital is enough for 4 outfits. If you're looking for 4 heavy winter coats and whatnot, then one capital should be able to get like 1 outfit for each of you. So I would say that'd be 1 capital.
All right, so if we outfit ourselves all, we won. You had 6, Edward?
Yes, I have 6.
Okay, and I had 3. So that leaves us with 8 to spend between all of us.
If we do both of those things, that brings us down to 6.
Oh, Tatiana, I forgot. I should have given you an advantage for your automatic writing. I think that's going to be a. It's going to be a. Probably a. Probably an investigation.
Okay.
Definitely an investigation when it involves house interiors.
Okay.
That's our very specific, doesn't give anything away.
I feel like
All
the
right.
hurricane lamp might be good to take with us.
Yeah, and we already have that, so we don't need
Oh,
to
we've
spend
got that
resources.
already. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody can keep 1 item above and beyond their starting items from the last adventure. And I think the only things that you purchased were the lamp and
Hunting equipment.
the hunting equipment. So basically,
and binoculars. So all of us can take 1.
All right. I will be the one to take the lamp with me, I think. That one feels most useful for me.
Yeah. I'll be taking the binoculars.
Tatiana is going to offer to transcribe notes for the professor to see if she can request makeup, because that would be a resource of 1. And she swears she'll pay you back. She's not sure why her mother isn't responding to her.
Yeah, that seems entirely reasonable. Yes, of course, of course.
So then she has a little bit more on, where was that? Manipulation.
I was also thinking a crowbar and a set of lockpicks might be good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. With makeup, we're down to 5, I believe. So the crowbar and lockpicks would take us down to 1.
So I guess, does anyone have good force, or because I don't? I know I don't.
I very much do not.
I have 0 force.
I
2
also have
physique.
0 force. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the crowbar is not a good idea, but
Okay,
looking
yeah,
at
if we don't
Triz's
have...
roll for stealth.
Yeah, giving Trish the lockpicks sounds chaotic and wonderful.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good to me. That is a +1
so
bonus to pick locks with stealth.
lockpicks for Trish, no crowbar, so we got 3 to spend.
that's a good number to take with you in case you need services while you're there.
Point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
All
that's
right.
good.
I think, yeah, we'll leave ourselves with 3 resources available and call that good.
So, are you going to use your workshop on the lockpicks, or are you going to put the well maintained on the rifle, or what would as you prepare your final preparations and you're at the workshop and you're trying out the first time, what's going to get that advantage bonus?
I don't know. I was also looking at the magnifying glass. That's a good item too. I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
Poison's always good.
I think we could supercharge these lockpicks. I'm just kidding.
Hey,
Tatiana, at this
one
Go ahead.
time on your lockpick, you get an advantage on them.
Yeah.
So a supercharged set of
let's
lockpicks
attach
sounds really good.
attach an
Actually,
engine to one of these lockpicks.
Sounds good to me.
no. If we need to pick a lock, I want to be able to pick that lock. All right.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that
Excellent.
is. Yeah, that is definitely important.
Perhaps we will not be like most RPG parties where our enemy is a door.
Is the door. Excellent.
Sometimes a door gets hungry.
Always a door.
Yeah, it's always a
Oh,
door.
it's a damn door.
The preparations being done, the day of the departure arriving, you take a stagecoach, the short trip from Uppsala down to the port, where a steamship will take you. It'll take you several days to travel to St. Petersburg. I know that we've got, let's see here, Trij and Ernst. Is there anything on this steamboat ride that is an activity that you think that you would want to partake in? We still need to try to secure an advantage for your two characters. So, what are you doing on your trip to help you prepare for this arrival, that you're going to this cool count's, manor outside of St. Petersburg?
I'd like to practice some card tricks on other passengers. Just to like, hey, I'm trying to practice this card trick. Will you witness it for me? Test it out. So I'm gonna
It's like a 3-day boat trip. You've got lots of people who are looking for anything to help them pass the time away. And so, what is the goal of the card trick? What is it that you're trying to? Is this a 3-card Monty, or what is it that you're trying to?
It's like a pick a card,
perfect?
any card, and then I'm gonna burn the card, and then I'm gonna pull it from behind their ear, type of thing. So I'm setting the card, physically setting the card on fire, and then poof, it's gone, and then poof, another brand new card that is the card behind their ear.
That's fantastic. Let's see here. I know that you've got an ability that allows you to do that. But does that ultimately go into your stealth, or does that go into something else?
Conjuring tricks. I don't think I've used it yet at all. I don't remember what it does. I'm clicking on it. You can use stealth instead of manipulation. And my stealth is ridiculous. So yeah, I guess that works for me.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and let's just see how well this is working. Go ahead and roll a stealth check really quick. Let's see how well this is going for you. You're practicing this card trick that involves like a bit of a flash powder and a redirection to take someone's eye off the ball, so to speak.
It's juggling, but with cards. And I don't add anything to this, right? I just straight grab and pull.
I think it's
Fun success.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, absolutely. So you have an advantage, and this advantage will probably be on stealth. And this advantage stealth specifically is at a moment where you think you can use stealth to take someone's eye off of where it is and put it somewhere else.
Excellent.
So you have an advantage to basically mess temporarily with someone's focus. You're gonna break their concentration. Ernst, somewhere probably quieter, further away
yes,
from the
Away from the
showman that is Trish the card shark.
Yep, I am a little bit more trusting of them with fire now, but I am going to keep my distance. Instead, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for passengers with whom I can chat and converse and practice my conversational Russian.
Got it. Excellent.
Tatiana overhear this, or do you do this careful when Tatiana isn't paying attention?
I
Let's say
would
if there's one
rather
you wanna
embarrass
practice with.
myself with strangers than with Tatiana.
Oh
Got it.
no.
Okay.
Absolutely. That's not difficult to do. There are first and foremost, there are a lot of folks who aren't even Russian who have good Russian under their belt, and you don't have trouble finding lots of people to practice with, both native speakers and people who've picked up Russian because it was their job or they have immigrated and it's still spoken in the family and things like that. So what we're really trying to do here is, like, most folks, I would probably say, for various reasons, everybody in the party has functional Russian. That's just a part of, like, where you live. And obviously, Edward, that's a military skill. Tatiana, your background. So I think that everyone's got functional Russian. You're working on Ernst is working on idioms and erasing a little bit of your accent and really
Yes, I would
fine
like to
tuning.
blend in if need be, ingratiate myself if
Yeah.
need be.
Yeah, go ahead and
I
roll
want.
yeah, go ahead and roll learning for me.
Okay.
Let's get this to stick. Yeah, absolutely. So I think the advantage is on manipulation when you are really trying to find the right thing to say to the right person, and you need it in the right tongue, and you know what to say, because it's about the idiom, it's about the cultural reference that you're making to really help be able to unlock the door that a lockpick won't unlock, perhaps.
All right.
Over the course of the next couple of days, the boat ride is uneventful. And as you step ashore in St. Petersburg, it begins to snow. It's a couple of days. It's like the 18th of December. It's cold and the snow begins. The air is cool. It takes some time, but your group finds a stagecoach that will ultimately take you to Narva, the location of Konstantinovich's manor. You meet a coachman, and his name is Ilya Ermakov, and he kind of looks like this. Oops. Let's try that again. There we go. And I'll put his picture in the spot where people can see it. There we go. So he's kind of a grizzled human. Definitely is a coachman. Hardy, heavy clothing, scarf around his neck. And as he loads up your bags, and he's not much of a talker, but he is courteous. Loads up your luggage onto the stagecoach roof, and opens the door to the stagecoach to let you four in. And he says under his breath, "I've got one more person to pick up on our way out. So keep some room open for one more." And then closes the door, gets into the seat, and takes the carriage off. In a few minutes, the carriage makes its way to central St. Petersburg, and there is a restaurant, and it's probably for Tatiana, this is a restaurant you've heard of before. It's the Talon restaurant. It's quite famous, and it's quite a high-end restaurant on the river Neva. So the stagecoach comes to a stop out in front of a particularly fancy bar restaurant that Tatiana, I think you know from your social circles as the Talon restaurant down on the River Neva. And as the carriage comes to a stop, there's a lone, clearly woman of noble birth. She is beautiful and well kept and well put together and in very fancy garb. And the stagecoach comes to a stop, and you hear Ilya jump down and walk up, and he starts to talk to her. Seems like he's trying to confirm that this is indeed his fare. And he begins the process of loading her goods up onto the stagecoach, and then opens the door to let this woman in. And as the woman walks in, she notices immediately that the carriage is full of other guests, and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Nice to meet you all. My name is Vilma F. Zimt." And right away, as she's talking, you realize she's Swedish. She's speaking Russian, as one does in St. Petersburg, but she clearly has a very Swedish accent. You can kind of see in her that she's probably more Swede than she is Russian. And as she introduces herself and sits herself down, Ilya closes the door and starts to make his way up to the bench of the stagecoach.
Tatiana just goes, "Pleasure," to Vilma, and then to Trish, "Go take my shot." And then it's going to duck out and like softly close the door and rush to the bench seat before Ilya can get there. And then she'll be sitting there all prim and proper.
So the camera follows Ilya as he closes the door, as we see this conversation. She's introducing herself. And then as the camera follows him, just slowly clambering his way up into the bench seat. And he picks up the reins. He's really focused on just his job. And that's when he realizes that like he's bumped into something, and he looks to his left and he's, excuse me, what are you doing here?
I haven't been home in so long. I thought I might sit with you and enjoy the weather.
Oh, you're from here. You're from St. Petersburg.
Yeah, I haven't been back in a very long time.
Oh, I hate to inform you, but you're not going to be here very long. We're leaving town. And it's going to be, and he gestures to the snow around him. It's going to be very cold. You'll probably want to go back inside the carriage.
I have a good coat, and they don't make winters in Sweden like they do out here.
That's
Please, let
very
me
true.
accompany you.
You're more than welcome to. And he kind of scoots over a little bit to give you a little bit more room he scoots away from you to give you a little bit more room on the bench.
And she takes that scoot and edges closer.
He's very uncomfortable. He is definitely just sort of, it's kind of got that lean away a little bit sort of thing. Like it's a little bit of, this is, there's a page in the handbook about this. I'm very much in trouble. And so he cracks the whip or cracks the reins, and the stagecoach begins its journey. The scene as the carriage leaves St. Petersburg is that the snow is beginning to pick up a little bit more. Inside the carriage, Ernst and Trish, Edvard, you have a very nice traveling partner. Her name is Vilma F. Zimt, and we'll drop a picture of her in the bar there for you. Light brown hair pulled back in a beautiful bun. bright green eyes, dressed in the fashion of a noblewoman. You can see as she kind of takes off a layer because it's warmer inside the stagecoach, but she wears fine jewelry and fine clothing.
I'll do a little bow and take off my hat and introduce myself. Hello, miss. I'm Trish.
Hello, Trish. It's good to meet you. Are we conversing in Russian, or are we switching over to
Oh
to
God,
Swedish?
I guess Swedish. I
Sure.
don't
Yeah,
think
she
Trish
started.
would know Russian. Well, they probably know a little bit,
Everyone has like
just a little, yeah,
proficient
because
Russian.
they have traveled a
Yeah,
lot, so
absolutely.
so they definitely would know how to introduce themselves.
You're from home. Oh, it's
No,
fantastic. No. Oh. Well, where are you
Some
from?
of us are.
oh, the world is my home, so a little bit, yes, I suppose so.
Oh, I get it. I too enjoy traveling. I wouldn't call the world my home, but definitely the world is my focus. And she turns to Ernst and Edward. And you?
Professor Ernst Magnuson of Uppsala. A pleasure. A pleasure.
Nice to meet you. And she, of course, the appropriate handshake and whatnot. You look like,
Yeah.
she turns to Edward, you look like somebody who may know my father.
I believe your father is Peter Offzent. Am I correct?
Absolutely. That is indeed my father.
Yes, I know. I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting him before, but it is a pleasure to meet you. My name is. And in Edward's mind of being like, okay, I guess we're giving our actual names. I don't want to be the odd one out. Edward Scotland. Captain Edward Scotland.
Very nice to meet you, Captain. I'm afraid to say I don't think I've heard your name in my father's conversations, but I'm sure that you've served our home as well as my father has.
Indeed.
So, in this conversation, we don't have to RP the whole conversation, but as you're traveling and leaving the city, what are the questions that you might have for her? Let's just cut right to the chase of the pleasantries. At some point, someone's going to say, "So, Vilma."
Yeah, we're gonna get where are you headed towards, or what brings you to? Because we're on the road to St. Petersburg at the moment. Yes,
We're leaving St.
Out of
Petersburg.
we're
St.
leaving St.
Petersburg.
Petersburg.
You
Thank
are
you.
heading to Narva,
All right.
which is where the good count's manor is. And she says as much. She says, "Oh, I thought we were all going to the same. I thought we were all going to the same. What's the word that she would use? Ceremony. I thought we were all going to the same council."
Oh, then you are an acquaintance of the Count as well.
I've had the opportunity of dialoguing and with the Count through correspondence. I've not actually met the Count yet. I was very excited to finally receive an invitation to the to this council. It's very exciting. I feel very honored. I think that I have a lot to learn and a lot to share.
And so you have an interest in the unseen, the mystical.
I have been traveling through Europe for years, very interested in studying the occult, very interested in studying just the things that are strange and weird and esoteric, things that are difficult to explain, interesting phenomenon. I find it fascinating. I have been I've used it as inspiration for my art and just building up a knowledge base, being able to understand things that the common everyday explanation just doesn't answer. There's so much out there that's still to learn. And I found that teachers and professors more often than not were very oh traditional, very locked up in their particular sciences and not willing to explore those those strange occult avenues.
I know that my own upbringing was somewhat more hidebound than my experience now is.
Um, let's see here. She in the conversation she says, "Oh," she says, so I took it. So wait, say your last thing again. Sorry, Ernst. What was that again?
The last thing I said.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, oh, I merely mentioned that my own upbringing was more hidebound than my current circumstances.
Mm, yeah, I see. I see. Yeah, I found that I had to strike out my own path. I had to just find my own people. You know how difficult it is to try to set up a book club when the book that you want everybody to read is mm, maybe on the government watch list for not reading. Uh, Especially when you're traveling Europe and you're in a country where, you know, the Roman Church is a little bit more stringent about what you can and can't purchase and read, in countries that are a little bit more along their line than not. But
I understand.
we've been very fortunate, though, to receive the patronage of Konstantinovich. We've been in communication, he and my family, for years now. I think you're gonna enjoy yourself. An amazing character.
I only know him by reputation, so this this conclave will be our first meeting.
And she and she's I think like a little I don't know what the expression on her face is. She too is excited to finally meet the Count, but it seems like the lack of detail on your communication with the Count might be that you're getting a chance to meet him much sooner than she got. And she looks, I think she's happy, but she's also maybe a little like, really?
Yeah, no, I get that.
The As the time passes
Oh, I
and
think
go
if
ahead,
like
Edward.
she makes a note of that at all, Edward will just be like, I was more brought on for security.
Oh,
Like,
I don't think we're going to need any security. There's never been a problem. The Count's very good about and careful about who he brings on. I mean, obviously, the early times he was a little less thorough,
okay.
and it's not that some of the people that he brought on board to go to his early councils were like rabble rousers. They were just
Un-
far too uh, energetic about their own particular views of things of the occult, and not really willing to sit down and talk and learn and be open. And they might have caused a low, a small row, but not like a big problem. But
no, understand. What I meant was on the journey there and the journey back,
oh,
more than actually there.
well, it's beautiful. Even as she looks at the window, even though we may not have much of a good view, as it's getting darker and it's getting colder and frost is beginning to build up on the windows, she does say that the drive there and back should be beautiful. I've heard nothing but amazing things about uh, Narva and the Count's Manor. This is going to be just a beautiful winter wonderland.
Do you by
The
chance have any of
oh,
your art? Like Edward would ask about the art that
she says that most of her art is in her flat, or her studio, or her father's manor, or another studio. Apparently, she has one in Sweden, and she's got another studio that she frequents when she's further south. It feels like we're talking about northern Italy or southern France, that region.
okay.
So she's got a fair amount of art around, and she says, if we all are making our way back home at the same time, I'll be more than happy to showcase my work if you're interested. My work has been described as they like to use the words abstract uh,
Mm.
or symbolist. I think that what I am doing is presenting a work that is challenging to the dominant paradigm of what existence is and what is knowable and what is possible.
That
And
sounds quite fascinating.
she's very animated when she talks about this. She lights up when she talks about her art.
Yeah, and Edward will do what he can to get her to be happy and whatnot.
She is a great conversationalist, answers the questions, and as the city is left behind and the carriages on the moves from off the roads onto the like paved cobblestone roads to actual roads, there's just a gentle sway of the carriage. Um, Tatiana outside, it's just a never-ending line of fir trees, and the the monotony of the drive begins to set in. Uh, Tatiana, sometimes Ilya asks you if you're cold, if you should stop and let you back in. I suppose you are saying no.
So is Tatiana able to engage him in conversation to draw
Yeah,
him out at all, or is it
absolutely.
okay?
Yeah.
So she's going to be like asking him as they're going, like stories about where he grew up, like how many siblings he has, what his favorite food is. Just kind of trying to draw him out and learn more about him.
Drawing out Ilya is a lot of work. Um, First of all, even though he's under a lot of clothing, he's a particularly skinny man, kind of a steel gray gunmetal eye color, dark brown hair, thick mustache, but a very, like, you would describe it as like a haggard face. Uh, he is bundled in all sorts of thick clothing and animal pelts. Even though he is as bundled as he is, as he's driving, ice is forming on his mustache and that very cool, uh, you know, I'm out in the middle of the tundra sort of look. Um, he doesn't. He talks about the fact that he's been a stagecoach driver, and he talks about the areas that he drives to. But questions about him personally are rebuffed routinely. He's like, "Oh, you wouldn't be interested in that. I'm just a simple, coach driver. I'm just a simple coachman. Nothing to tell." And he sometimes he just points out over there is the this river, and one time I took some people there fishing, and they all caught the cold and a couple died of flu. It was really sad and tragic, but that's what you get when you fish in a Russian river in the middle of the winter.
Of course, of course.
But
Do you
not
know
a
the
lot
count?
of. I know of the Count. I've driven people out to his manor before, but people like him aren't particularly interested in uh, talking with people like me. I just drive people out, and he has a foreman or a butler or whoever that comes out and collects people, and I go on my merry way and I collect my pay. He always pays, or his butler always pays. I've heard lots of strange things about him, but billionaire's gonna billionaire, I guess.
Do you know if there's still a wine shop in downtown St. Petersburg?
Plenty of wine shops in downtown St. Petersburg.
The one next to the theater where you had to look a certain way in order to get in?
Is he actually going to know this? What are the chances he's going to know this? He's
Uh,
a pretty common commoner. So
but would he have driven people to this wine shop where hoity-toities go?
He may not have known that that's where they were going to, since it's next to a theater. He might have been driving to a theater, so his answer would be, "I've taken people there. I mean, I don't stick around. I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't pay to stick around. People usually get angry when
Fair.
common folk are snooping around in business that's not theirs to snoop around in."
15 years ago, I went there with my mother. I just wondered if it still existed.
I think so. I think we're talking about the same place.
Good. It'll be good. Perhaps later, you and I could go there together.
I will be bringing you back, I'm sure, to St. Petersburg. You must have a boat to catch or something.
She's just gonna pout. So you won't go with me?
And he says, you're nice people, but you know, it's not wise to mix social and business stuff. I've got work to do. I got fares to take.
I understand. And she's kind of gonna give up at this point and just be like, I wish I had my mother's endurance, as like her face is all red and like her nose is running, and just like my mother would have looked so fashionable doing this. This did not go according to plan, but she's stubborn and she's gonna see this out.
Sure. The much like riding on a modern train kind of puts you to sleep with the rhythmic thunk 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 thunk. The carriage picks up a rhythm, and the conversation starts to wind down. Those of you who would find sleep in an environment like this may even fall asleep. It'll be sometime after leaving St. Petersburg, maybe a couple of hours. When, and Tatiana, you're the first person to realize what's happening. There is an unexpected burst of snow that moves across the road, and it creates enough of a whiteout condition that Ilya no longer has visual on the road. And as the horses miss the turn of the road and begin to go off the road, the horses begin to neigh loudly, and Ilya curses in Russian and begins to try to pull the horses back on. But the stagecoach, as it's careening off the road and coming back on, there's this loud whack as the front left wheel hits something hard, and this wheel just shatters under the force of whatever it has hit in the snow, and the carriage does a forward, kind of a forward but also to the left roll, and nobody is really braced and ready for it except maybe Ilya, but he still has his hands on the reins. There is a roll, a sickening sound of timber crunching. Everybody inside the carriage is tumbling around like rocks inside a tumbler. And
God.
and when the carriage comes to a stop, we have to find out how many people have actually been ejected from the carriage. So I need everybody to make an agility test, please.
This is going to go so poorly.
I would like to instinctively just like curl up into like the fetal position.
Do I have to roll at disadvantage since I'm outside?
No, you're just gonna
Oh, where's my
roll.
treasure sheet?
You're just
There it
gonna
is.
roll a agility test,
Agility.
whether you're inside or outside. What you're going to be doing is determining whether or not you, I suppose, while the other people are doing an agility test to try to keep from getting ejected, you're doing the work of trying to keep from getting crushed by this thing as it's rolling.
Oh,
Well, that's kind of what I figured. But she's
I
gonna
am
just
not
kind
built
of
for this.
she's gonna hold
Ernst.
on to.
Well, no, yeah, everyone except for Ernst did a good enough job of reacting quickly enough to hold on to. Oh, you know who needs to figure out if they're ejected?
Vilma.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
Whoops.
Not the NPC.
No, Vilma
no.
is ejected.
No.
And let's see here. Same for Ilya. Let's see.
Tatiana took up too much of the bench. She had a firm grip and just shoved him right off.
No,
Yeah, it looks like it.
he's tossed as well. Okay. So those of you who have been
He has
hurled out
died.
of the carriage, let's see here. Oh my goodness. This actually is going to register as a force attack? Really?
Ooh.
Okay, cool. So here's what's going to happen.
So poorly.
Luckily, it's probably going to be a physical one, so it won't affect any of your
Okay.
learning.
So you need to roll. I'm just going to do this once. One success. So you need to roll. Everyone who. Oh, it's just everyone. Okay, it's Ernst. So Ernst, you're going to roll force. You need a success.
Well, no.
Ooh.
So you take a physical condition,
All right.
No.
and then
I feel like battered is. Oh no, not wounded.
Ernst,
there we
your
go.
bad
Battered.
knee.
It's just a few bumps and bruises. We'll be all right.
Okay, that's a success for the coachman. And not a success for Vilma. So Vilma is also takes one condition. She takes a particularly unpleasant knock on the head. But worst still is that the carriage is now lodged inside, busted, and lodged inside, partially inside a snowdrift on the side of the road. The luggage is scattered everywhere. And as you all kind of put yourselves back together again and look around, you realize that really there's very little that you can see except for the mist of your breath and the starlight shining down from this dark, cold winter sky. It hurts to breathe. It is so cold. There always has to be a wolf howling in the distance. So a wolf howls in the distance. And every time you breathe, it feels like there are just ice crystals in your mouth and in your throat and in your lungs. And it's,
I hate that.
The snow is falling heavier and heavier. The wind is rising. And that is where we will bring our first session to the end, as the party has found themselves the victim of an untimely accident on their way to Count Konstantinovich's conclave. But now it's about whether or not we can survive out in a very cold wilderness. So thanks. Yeah, that's how it goes. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks for the next episode of A Winter's Tale.